monstrosity, citizen.
Merry Christmas. Well,
Happy
not
holidays.
there yet.
Happy
Not there
Hanukkah.
Yeah, and Kwanzaa.
Merry
that's
Christmas,
right?
Kwanzaa. There, cover
Yeah.
all your bases.
Where's my Festivus for the rest of us?
Festivus for the rest of us. I bought my dad a Festivus pole. Yes, he has an official Festivus pole. Yeah.
It does double duty sometimes as another type of pole, maybe, but
For Zort, maybe if you're that.
if you're all right. But I'm gonna say I'm a big holiday person. I love the holidays, and Disney started off. All right, so let's just start it off. Disney has not had the best track record on Disney Plus lately. We all know that. It's kind of sad. But we have to talk about it because I think a lot of people see this series of movies maybe as like a modern classic, especially that first one. So
Yeah,
before we start,
sure.
I'm gonna say hi to the chat quickly. So what's up, Theme Park Casual? Congrats on getting your magic key.
Oh.
I don't even want to know how much that cost. Commander Phil, you came in pretty early. What's up in Hale, fellow Legion of Memer? And we have I'm gonna let Tabitha try to say this name because I don't know.
All right, here we go. Avaris Carmageddon.
923.
Numbers are not important to me. So.
Okay, I know that.
I totally missed some of the D's or whatever in there, but I was like, I'm just gonna go with it.
Will it be another Disney bait and switch? Too early. We're gonna get to that in a little bit, especially with a lot of millennials having nostalgic feelings towards the Santa Claus. I agree. Trilogy of films. I'll give you the first two. Oh, hey, what's up? We have lots of people popping in right now. We have the Beam Pad. How you doing? Alexander Lee, hello and happy holidays. And agree. Oh, and we have Pink Pam popping in. Love the first Santa Claus. I do too, and a lot of people do. I'm waiting for some Disneyland content from you. It's the Theme Park Casual now that you have your magic key. You're over there. All right. So let's start and talk about the Santa Clauses in those legal terms.
Those legal terms? What does that mean?
The play on words, the puns, the punniness of it all.
Oh,
the clauses. I don't know. Let's first start and ask, Tabitha, what are your thoughts on the Santa Claus trilogy of films first, before we get into the show?
Yeah, no, I like them. Like you said, a modern classic, especially the first one. I mean, who doesn't love an origin story? And Tim Allen is just great. I mean, he's pretty much the same person in every movie, but he just does it so well. But I love the first one. I do. I enjoy watching that. It's very funny. It does have a lot of that Christmas magic to it. I do enjoy, where, he finds his wife. It's kind of a fun one. And then with Jack Frost, is that the second one? Third one?
The third one is the...
That one was okay. I didn't mind it. Okay, not my favorite, but I still find it humorous, but definitely going to go with the first one being all-time favorite. Yeah.
All right. So I kind of want to break in. So we have the new cast of characters kind of here, at least the family, the Clauses as they are.
Mm-hmm.
You have Clara, right? I think that's her name, even though that's a bit in the whole first two episodes of the show.
You mean Carol, his wife?
Carol. Oh wow, I even got the name wrong.
Oh yeah.
I will. That's my bad. I watched the show at 3 a.m. So
I watched the show at 3 p.m. There's a difference. Yeah. You see what a difference?
There was a big launch at like 1 a.m. that like shook my entire house. So I was up. It's like, okay, I guess I'll watch the Santa Clauses. So I will say, what did you think of the family dynamic from the first two episodes?
The family dynamic. Well, it's a little bit confusing because you can tell that there is, yes, with Martin Short, exactly. I couldn't remember the guy's name. They are a tight-knit family. They love each other, but then all of the sudden there's this, it's almost there's not this split, but essentially there are different feelings towards being in the North Pole and Christmas in general, which almost seemed like there would not have been a division in the family had nobody mentioned it. It was almost like it was instigated, right?
Well, I feel like the whole beginning of the show is instigated on this concept of you have him being the best Santa for
Mm-hmm.
almost 30 years, like
Right.
bringing so much magic and joy, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it just stops.
Exactly. And it's almost
There's
like if nobody had said anything, the magic would have still continued.
And it seems odd that now I understand what they're going for a little bit when you watch the first episode, and he comes across the Sarah, right? The girl that would give him the
Mm-hmm.
lactose intolerant. So my two things. One, I think the actress they picked is on purpose, and this goes into my theory later on that there's clauses, as in more than one Santa Claus at the end of this.
Okay.
I think that's one thing. Um, I think they could have actually found the actress who played.
That would have been so cool.
I think that's the one thing that like because they picked someone from SNL. I think she looks familiar. The actress looks familiar. I think I've seen her around. I'm not 100% sure. But like I don't know if I like the meta commentary that the us millennial people are just like. I say I decorate for Christmas still.
Yeah,
Like
they gave up on millennials. Like millennials don't celebrate the holidays. The millennials don't seek after Christmas spirit. Like we don't strive to enjoy Christmas anymore. Where is this concept coming from? If anything, I think a lot of the millennial generation is trying harder to capture Christmas spirit, but there's a lot of pressure to have it a certain way because there is a lot of this undercurrent of undoing traditional Christmas.
I do agree with that. This is I'm hoping the message at the end of this movie is a little bit more about keeping with traditions because that's what the other films have always been about. It's definitely more about keeping that spirit alive. And even so, I'm not going to care if we go first episode, second episode. We're just going to nitpick what we want to nitpick. I'm not a reviewer that well yet. I'm learning from Tabitha. She does this more so.
He's working on it. He's gotten to 1,000 subscribers here on his channel, which is pretty flippin' awesome. Well, I knew he could do it. I had all the faith in the world that it was going to happen because he just roams in the magic. So I believe it's going to come. I knew it was going to come.
Well, thank you. But I will say, the thing I was most disappointed with in all of this is his son, is Charlie. The fact that Charlie changed so much over the time frame, and also doesn't look like he's old enough. Like he almost looks the same age as his other son.
Yeah.
Who he
well,
had
some
to
people
have had,
just age well, you know.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I just think that it looks a little bit weird in terms of that. But I just felt weird, like, oh, he's gonna move to Florida, and he hates the cold now. It's like, are you saying this as a way to commentate on like family, like generational family businesses, like a restaurant owner or something like that? How the kid always tends up resenting the business. Kind of how I read that.
Okay. I didn't get that. I do think it's a little on the nose to have him move to Florida. Like, why couldn't he be in Wyoming? You know what I'm saying? Like, why did it have to be staunch tropics? You know, no snow, nothing like that. I was not disappointed. That was not the least favorite thing about this show. You know, with him, I get it. I get it, not wanting to be Santa Claus and not feeling like it would be the best environment to raise a kid. My issue with this series thus far is that it seems to be all over the place with excitement, with joy, with sadness, with confusion. The plot in and of itself has so many sub things going on that I don't know what to focus on. And a lot of these characters are very I don't want to say childish is not even the right word, but like I don't know if this is a show made for adults to watch with their kids or if this is made for little children whose attention spans are as long as a goldfish.
Well, I think one of the first things that I agree with in terms of pacing and characters, the elves. The elves they got so right in the movies. And I
Yeah.
feel like this is like completely different because the elves felt like adults. They felt like adults in the films. But
Yeah.
they were adults with wonder. That's
Yeah.
how I would put it. They were adults with wonder.
Yes.
But now you're getting like the cynical elf.
Mhm.
Like, okay, you had that in the third movie with Barnett. Not
Bernard.
no, Bernard is the older elf, which I think we're
Oh,
missing. When
yeah.
Bernard shows up, I think the show will be better. I
Mhm.
think that's a big thing that's missing right now is because you don't have that equivalent to Santa Claus right now. Bernard was always that like
Mhm.
top elf that gave
Yeah.
that support system.
Which I guess is what kind of this gal is supposed to be. She's very nonsense, no nonsense, on top of things, very much the manager. I don't have a problem with her character, to be honest with you. She, out of all the elves, is the least on my nerves.
Well, Noel seems to be
Ugh,
similar to the one from the third movie who kept on doing the doom and gloom, like the desanctification process has begun. But that was from the second film.
man, he gets on my nerves so much. The kid who is Santa's sidekick here, because I don't think they're doing his. Either it's the actor or it's the director, because he, to me, he is acting like this is going to sound really, really cruel, very harsh. And I mean no disrespect to the actor. I don't know him. I hope he does well. I'm so glad that he's gotten a shot to work with Tim Allen, to work with Elizabeth Mitchell, to have his chance on Disney. But they are displaying his character as an immature child. Okay. I don't know how to say this nicely. As far as like he is acting younger mentally than what he really is. That's how I'm getting this. Having worked with children like this before, I don't understand. I don't know if it's a representation thing or what the case might be, but it's like I don't understand his purpose either in this film. He's Santa's hype man, but he's not. And again, he acts very immature for number one, an elf who's supposed to be decades old, but who's also supposed to be a child, but he acts more immature for a child his age. I don't understand.
None of the elves had the same level of presence as I can't remember the name. What was the one that brought the name of the elf that brought him hot cocoa in the first movie? I can't remember her name. Now I have to look that up.
It wasn't. Oh man, it's been a little while since I've watched the movies. I will say.
No, I'm gonna bring up the first.
But
Judy.
Judy.
So Judy, that's the one thing we're missing here.
Mm-hmm.
Because Judy is what I said about that adult wonder, like the wisdom of an adult with the wonder of a child.
Yes.
That's what those elves had in the first and the second film.
Right.
Everything from that like scene in the beginning of the show when he's losing the magic is a bunch of kids. It's not adults with wonder. It is
sassy kids. Some of them are just sassy kids too.
Yeah. It's like Gen Z. I don't know. Sorry, Gen Z fans.
I don't even know if it's Gen Z. What's this next generation coming up? What's after Z?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Whatever the non generation. We have a lot of non things out there, so it's the non generation.
Generation null.
Generation null. I like this. I don't know. I will say the elves, I don't like it. It's all over the place for me. And I think some of the cutesy weird stuff, like, spoil. Are we allowed to do spoilers? I guess.
Yeah, we're spoiling. It's a TV show.
The emergency cupcake. What the freak was that? Like, and then she tears it open, and now we're looking at her greasy little
Gen Alpha. We're back to the beginning.
It is definitely not that, man.
Yeah.
Gen Beta, but that was weird. I don't understand. There's just so many different things, and then the cuss words that they do, holy sprinkles, holy night, like all of these gimmicky things. It's too much, right? It's too much.
The other thing that makes no sense, and this is just coming from the whole series of films, and Mrs. Claus, she had a school. She had her school that she was doing. In what happened to it? Did she stop doing it? Like, and I'm sorry, the whole my braces are made out of sugar. Come on.
See, this is
like,
what I'm saying. Yeah, that stuff.
Like it that isn't how the first film was.
Yeah.
They had and even in the third film when they brought the in-laws up, they had legitimate things they were doing. They delivered a baby. Like they had medicine. It's not like they didn't know what they were doing.
Not everything was a light of the glow of 1,000 fairies. Exactly.
So this show just takes all of this stuff that they built up, and I know the third one's the campiest of them all, but it brought in the family dynamic. Where's the rest of his family? Where are his? Where's the wife and his? I guess not stepdaughter, right? The redhead from the second film or the third film.
Oh, like I said, it's been a little while since I watched it. I'm not familiar with the names anymore.
No,
I've only recently started watching the Santa Claus movies about 3 years ago. So it's not like Kevin McAllister's family where, Buzz, you know the names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he grew up with it. But yeah, so for me, kind of going back to originally what you were saying is like, for you, what bothers you the most was, Charlie. For me, what bothers me is that this show is all over the place with storyline, characters, enthusiasm, themes.
Well, we haven't even got to the weirdest part yet, which is Cal Penn.
Cal what? Sorry?
Cal Penn in it. The
Cal Penn?
Yeah, the actor's name.
Oh.
From Harold and Kumar and House and all that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know I don't know the character's name. That was the least interesting part of me. I know he's gonna.
Oh, him, Simon Chokski. Yeah, okay, exactly. This is what I'm saying. This show opens up straight out of the gate with problems. What I mean by problems, I mean like the people are having problems. We don't get like an introduction into this show. I don't know if they were just banking on the fact that everybody's watched the movies, but even if you have, like we have, there's no context really anywhere. There's no lead up. I honestly feel like these two shows were 4 shows crammed together.
I 100% agree. I think we're looking at the replacements for Santa Claus and Santa Claus's family time. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to need him back, but like in the North Pole or whatever it is, and you're going to have 4 other Santa Clauses doing his job. Which doesn't make sense to me. But I agree. This show is scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, is this supposed to be a family drama about him connecting with his kids? Like, is that supposed to be it? Is it supposed to be a drama about Simon's character figuring out why his 17% market share is gone? Like, first of all, how did he figure that out? We're losing 17% for random gifts being sent to people.
Yeah.
And if I just don't understand, because is that also saying that they're not having enough kids? Like,
okay, that was something else too that bothers me about this show that I'm a little bit confused about, because on the one hand, it's Disney. And for those who know, we know that Disney is not a fan of unbiased political opinions. Let me put it that way. Then we also have Tim Allen, uber conservative man. Okay. Then we have them coming together to make this show. And there are some, I don't know if they're intentional, what the case is, but there are undercurrents of political things in here like that are sad. Okay. So we all know that Santa needs to run off of the magic of children. I mean, it's in almost every Santa Claus movie that there's out there. The magic of Christmas typically comes from children. And when they were struggling he's struggling with his magical abilities. He looks at Noel and he's like, are people just not having as many kids anymore? And it's like, yes. I mean, there's 2 different reasons why, at least in America, the population is shrinking. And I don't want to go into all that, but I'm just saying that I don't understand why they put that in there, given that that's kind of a heavy conversation in our world today.
Well, they put it there right in the first thing, because you have Sarah, who he goes to, which is the first kid he meets in the first film.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have a family. She is alone. She's not decorated. She forgot it's Christmas. I don't care.
She forgot it's Christmas? Yeah.
I mean, I've lived by myself for like 10 years. I don't forget Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, are you telling me there's no family to call her to say, oh, Merry Christmas?
She's living with her parents, remember?
Oh, she's still living at their house with her parents. Yeah.
That's what she said. She's like, I'm 30 something years old. I don't have a job, or whatever the case was. And I'm living. And here's another case of a 30-year-old woman who doesn't have a job and is living with her parents and can't have a boyfriend. And it's like She-Hulk all over again. And it's like, why? I understand that in order to have the magical high, we need to have people struggling with issues. I get that. Like, people lose the magic of Christmas. Oh, well, here, let me save this kitten from this tree, and suddenly everybody feels better. I get that. But this is like, again, this is like real. We watch movies to get away from realism or from reality, right? So they are talking about grown-ups who are struggling today, right? These are problems that people are struggling with right now on a very high level. And then the sadness of the fact that there are fewer children being produced in the world, or whatever, however you want to look at that, in this, at least in our country. And so I'm just like, where is this show going? And I'm a little bit saddened now, because these are some heavy topics. I want a magical Christmas movie.
I'm just gonna say, I'm glad they didn't go to some like guy in his 30 in the basement playing video games, and that was the first person Santa went to. I'm kind of glad it was.
They might as well, because the single 30-year-old woman living with her parents, jobless, is now the new dude living in his mother's basement playing video games.
Yeah, it's sad. I do want to acknowledge the chat for a little bit there, because we had a lot of people come in and make some comments. First of all, the number of episodes, it's 6. So we had the 2 first premiere, and there's 4 more. So it stops on December 14th. Again, Phil, we are not making fun of you. We know you're a Gen Z here. We're not making fun of you.
I didn't know that, so I totally have, wasn't saying anything directed pointedly at you.
And trust me, everyone understands not all generations alike, because everyone blamed everything on the millennials before, and guess what? We're not the worst.
Please.
Imagination. I'm sorry, we're not talking Figment right now. And TD, what's up? You came in to say hi. Hey, TD. All right. And the beam pad, let's see. The best way to spread business. Exactly. Yeah, and there's the wrong movie. That's Elf.
By the way, Alexander Lee asked, who is this woman? My name is Dreaming Tabitha. I'm an artist here on YouTube. Hi. With strong opinions.
Sorry. Sorry, Alexander Lee. I missed that. I was we were kind of on a roll for a little bit. I'm sorry about that.
It's all good. We see you.
We see. So that's the thing. Like, Tim Allen, I think, is still great in this. He's a little bit goofier than he was.
Yeah.
Is a little bit goofier. And I also don't understand the age thing being a problem, because he's an immortal figure.
Right, because isn't Santa supposed to be able to live like 200 years and stuff like that?
Well, no, but even in the second film with the Mrs. Claus, they say he's immortal. Like, unless he falls off and like literally dies,
right,
there is no stopping him being Santa Claus.
Well,
so
yeah, the continuity errors all over the place, because also, if you remember, Mrs. Claus talking to the head girl elf, and she's like, oh, you would make a great Santa Claus. And she's like, no elf could ever be Santa Claus. Okay, Santa's supposed to be an elf. It's in the songs. Like, are you making it, man? So he totally disagrees with what I have to say. I told him apparently something brand new, piece of information that Rogue was not familiar with, and he's in disbelief right now, guys. So give him a little space of grace.
I'm sorry. I had some rum in my hot chocolate. I'm sorry.
I like my story better.
Okay. I will never disagree with Tabitha. Tabitha's got more knowledge than me.
This is hardly true. Depends maybe on what it is.
But I think that I don't blame the casting. This is definitely a writing issue, and this is
Mm-hmm.
definitely. I feel like Tim Allen had tent poles that he wanted to have in the show that had to be there. I also feel that Disney has their fingers in this. I
Mm-hmm.
just, I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
if it
not a
was
cohesive piece.
if it was just like if it was just the first Santa Claus that existed and then this show came out, I'd be much more upset with it. But then
Yeah.
like the third film kind of lowered the bar for the whole thing a little bit. So it's sort of like even keel. I will say the suit looks good. His Santa suit, like it doesn't
Yes.
look the beard looks off.
Yeah, because you can tell right here. You can tell where it's been meshed on or graphed onto the makeup or to the
Yeah.
prosthetic. It's not
It's not as
realistic
good as the
looking.
other ones.
Yeah,
The
you
other ones
can
were much
see.
fuller and stuff.
This seems to have like a lot of Disney produced stuff lately, budget cuts because the CGI is bad. It's so backwards.
Yeah, you don't even see that much of the reindeers, to be honest. Like
And
that
even
was
when
a
you
big.
do, it's like Nickelodeon quality cartoon.
Well, the other thing, the reindeers were all practical in the other films. You had the practical
Hmm.
puppets, so that's something that's missing. And again, he should have visited Charlie and visited the wife when he was talking about the ex-wife, because
Mm.
then, first of all, Neil, the is awesome. I love him in it. He's hilarious being the little shrink because he could have come in and did his whole little therapy thing because that's the banter comedy. Like
Hmm.
that's the stuff for the adults. The
Hmm.
banter comedy between the family dynamic is what
Hmm.
was drew in the older crowd. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know.
I can't really see adults watching this and being captivated by it. I I
And
can't.
even for like the tween demographic or teen, like the I actually do think the kid casting is pretty good for the family. I like the son. I don't
Um,
understand how old he's supposed to be because like
yeah. Like
it's so he had him
16,
in the third movie.
17.
So that him in the third movie. He's been Santa Claus now for 29 years. Charlie was 15 in the second movie. I think 17 in the third movie or something like that. So I don't know. Like it's just weird, but somehow he has a sixth sense. So I
Mhm.
guess he's born with a Santa sense. I
Right.
don't get that. I'm kind of curious. And the daughter, I
See,
think
and
that
yeah.
the daughter is a little bit weird because the daughter,
She's like an activist.
yeah, it seems odd and it's just out of nowhere. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They have a whole year. It makes no sense that they're just staying up there for that whole year. Like
Yeah.
they could leave. He did that in the other movies. He went to Charlie whenever he needed to.
Right.
He has magic. Like they could go to Wyoming. They could go to wherever.
Yes, and here's the thing too that I mean, there are a lot of movies like this, and I think it's taking away again some of the magic of Santa Claus is the fact that here is another family pretending to be happy, but they're not because they're trying to support dad.
And that's an ABC Family trope. That all the series on ABC Family are that way, and it's not a good look.
Right. I know that that does happen in the real world, and I appreciate spouses and children that try to support a hardworking father. But like you were saying, there's magic. There's a magical family. Why aren't they busy helping him? Why are they just shut in their rooms doing nothing? Why aren't they a part of Christmas? Why isn't he training his son or his daughter, however route you want to go? Why isn't he training his children to be the future? Why does he need a replacement? Why is it not being passed down to family? And then when he tries to pass it on to family, they're freaking out. Did they not expect that to happen? If Santa is the jolliest person, the most wonderful thing, everybody adores him, even his own children, everything he does is magic. They get totally blindsided by the fact that he would want his kids to be the next in line. It doesn't make sense.
Well, that's the thing. He goes to his first biological son, who for the three films prior is the most vocal
Yeah.
about his love of Christmas and of his father.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can understand having your own kids
Yeah.
changing your priorities. That is an
Right.
entirely understandable statement. And that's a realistic family dynamic from like if you talk to any families that have a generational job, like
Right.
farms or restaurants or like
Mm-hmm.
privately owned shops or something like that.
Yeah.
When a spouse becomes involved and when like a relationship happens, that automatic
Yeah.
inheritance of the company doesn't
Your
happen all the
priorities
time.
change. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the problem is you're not getting that whole story either. You're so this 2 episodes, honestly, I think the show is a little shorter than it should be. They could have spent a lot of time, half the time on the dynamics between the clauses and then each individual person that is supposed to be a replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And then that you would have had a much longer show, yeah, but it's also going to be more coherent. I think they shortened this a lot because it is
Yeah.
meant for kids.
See, but that's the problem is like, whatever happened to making shows for families? There is a huge difference between making shows for adults and making shows for kids. And there used to be a time where you made shows for families. And it's just this one, for me, seems a little lost in the woods of who their demographic is.
Well, especially since Tim Allen starred in 2 great family sitcoms with Last Man Standing and Home
Home
Improvement.
improvement. Yeah.
You had 2 great family sitcoms, which,
Hmm.
let's be honest, they could have modeled this after. You have a template for him thing, and guess what?
Because
He
he's
is
always the
always
same guy.
well, but he always also has a wife that puts him on his toes, is
Hmm.
equal to him. There never is any type of I'm better, you're better. It's always been that like great partnership with Jill
Hmm.
and I can't remember the one from Last Man Standing. I'm
Vanessa.
sorry, Vanessa. Okay, I I watched a lot more Home Improvement growing up than
Yeah.
to
Oh, I did too.
yeah
I'm
but-
rewatching it now. So.
yeah. But I'm just saying like you had that template
Hmm.
there, and you could have like Last Man Standing actually works for a better template because you had older kids with that, so you
Hmm.
could have used that template for the show. It's 30 minutes. Each episode's like 35 minutes. It wasn't that long.
Hmm.
Like you could have used that. So I don't understand. Why
Do
did
you
he call me Tomothy? Tomothy? Okay, R2. I don't know where that came from.
R2? Do you think it's hurting the Disney shows by having fewer episodes?
I think their budget constraints for these productions, since there's no advertisement, is the issue. And there's also no like product placement in any of these either. You're not seeing the Coca-Cola label. You're not seeing. You notice if you watch any
Yeah.
modern sitcom, you see the product placements in there, which
Mhm.
help pay for the show. You're not
Right.
seeing that. So I think that's a big thing here.
Mm.
Is that I also think that it's also paying for Tim Allen. I think Tim Allen probably negotiated very well for this
Mm.
because he was not happy with not being in Lightyear. Like
Yeah.
he was not that was vocal about that. And they axed his Last Man Standing show.
Yeah.
So obviously
Yeah.
there was some conversations happening here. So I think it's more political than you think in the behind the scenes. And it's also interesting that you have Cal Penn, who is a ardent lefty
Mhm.
in this show with like so are you basically saying that and this is going beyond the first 2 episodes. The whole point of this show is that the boomer generation, the more conservative traditionalists are not needed. And
Hmm.
the progressive like is that because I can't see Tim Allen walking into that openly.
No, I don't know if that's how the show's gonna roll because, like you said, I don't think Tim Allen would walk into that openly. And then if you watch his children, they don't have. I'm not trying to be mean here, but his kids really don't have two brain cells to rub together. So there's really no future going forward. They have heart. I give them that. They're curious, generous, sweet little things. But you have two teenagers that have no idea how to survive the world and don't know what to do about life and live in their heads. I am what about the two brain cells? I'm just trying to, I'm saying it like it is. I'm
Well,
sorry. They're sweet, but and it's not their fault. I mean, this is again this weird dynamic. They've just tried to be like the parents, even though Mama Claus is doing nothing. This is again painting it like stay-at-home moms don't do diddly squat, which they're some of the hardest working people in the world. But in the meantime, she's miserable and drinking cider with the elves, having no idea why she even has her hair in a bun all the time, while Santa Claus is out getting the glory, and her kids are falling behind in society. They don't even know what to do with their lives, and they dream about doing other things, but they're almost like 17, 16 years old. I don't think it's going to go, if it goes the route of they are the future generation, well, we're doomed. There will be no more Christmas.
but okay, so here, this is like a false, it's a false drama in that sense, because they're just adding that in to make the whole thing feel that way, because it makes no sense. The third movie, she had her school, she taught, and there's no reason why, hey, you know what, maybe it'd be a good idea to send the kids out to school while they're kids to interact with other children, because I think the girl just wants to like see other kids. Like I think that's more like a little bit more like, hey, you know, I want to have a boyfriend maybe, or I want to hang out with other girls.
Normal
like,
teenager stuff.
You know, Bill the elf down the thing who's 65 keeps hitting on me, and I'm 15. Like,
but he looks like he's 7.
Yeah. Because like, first of all, they had that humor in the first movie. You know, when he's like, "Oh, you're nice." Oh, I'm sorry, I'm spoken for with a person in rapping. So that type of humor was the adult humor for that movie, right. And I also think that would be creepy in this sense, in this show, because of the time frame or period we're in history.
Yeah,
but it's also making fun of homeschooling in some ways.
Yeah,
and that's not a cool thing either, because I do think that's a big trend now, at least in terms of after the whole
it's been a big trend for decades. Homeschooling is now more cool than it's ever been. I mean, like when I was being homeschooled, we were, I've heard all the homeschool alumni here, so I know what I'm talking about. The antisocial weirdos that only play video games, probably grow up to be psychopaths and homicidal maniacs. Please. Self-educated over here.
I'm also trying to see. So Melissa King was Sarah, the little girl, who is still an actress.
Oh, well, maybe she just didn't want to.
She's also
hey, little Spidey,
around our age, so she would have been appropriate for the time of the movie. Hey, little Spidey, what's up?
Maybe she just didn't want to. Maybe
I read the script and like, I don't want to be a 30-something and living with my parents. And like, what are you talking about?
Right. Depending on what she's doing right now, she might be more successful anyway. Yeah.
But the other thing is, you could have taken that scene and had her daughter just be a current age kid, maybe like a 12-year-old who's past it all, and still had her in that same house. Like she got her parents' house, she had a kid, and still had the same effect on the story.
I think what would have been beautiful is that instead of focusing on the magic lost among the children, would have been the search to find the adults that still have the magic. So like if Sarah, like you said, if she had a child and everything like that, and I don't know, he's desperate and he's looking and he's like, I remember this one kid, and he stumbles into this house and he looks around the pictures and he's like, oh, I remember her. Like maybe her picture's on the wall when she was little. And he stumbles and she'd be like, Santa, remember me? I was that little girl. I've been teaching my kids. I've been telling them about you too. And just something like that. I think that would have been refreshing and interesting if they would have been able to find all the adults who still believe in Santa Claus, because they were the ones that saw him, maybe like the few kids that saw Santa coming down the chimney.
I think that would have actually worked really well. And even like the scene in the second movie where they get all the gifts for where he gets all the gifts for the adults, like the gifts they didn't get as kids. Now, here's the thing that I don't like this is that you're making all about material. So like, oh, okay, the only reason they believe he's Santa is because they give him a gift that he wanted as a kid, right? And I'm like, there's more to the holiday than that. Like, I wish there was
Yeah.
a little bit more in terms of the family side of things.
Like Home Alone. It was all
Yeah,
about his son reuniting with his mom, essentially, because he was like, Christmas sucks. I just want my mom.
yeah,
You know?
and I agree. And there are definitely more. All right, I nothing against Santa Clauses in the movies and all that, but if you want a family film, there are a lot better Christmas family films, like It's a Wonderful Life. Great story about family. There are a lot of ones, and also if you don't watch that, you're not doing Christmas right. I'm just gonna say it.
That's one of my least favorite Christmas films.
Why? Okay. Wait. Sidetrack. Why?
I know it ends happily, and I understand the point of the movie, but most of it is just so disparaging or despairing. It doesn't put me in the Christmas spirit. I just don't like it. It's more sad than it is happy, and I value the story. I really do. I think it's beautiful. It's just not a movie that entertains me for the holidays.
Okay, I respect that. Um, I'm not going to go into it. I respect it.
Right.
I see where you're
I get
coming
why
from.
I get why people like it. Just for me personally, I just don't find it entertaining.
I will say, when I was a kid, I fell asleep halfway through. That's just
As a kid, yeah.
because it was always on for free at like 11 o'clock at night on Christmas Eve, right? Like it was on like PBS or something like that
And
at
that's
11
all you
o'clock.
should know about that movie. What does that tell you?
Hey, Google
No,
gave
I'm
it
just
away for
kidding.
free.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to throw hate on
Hey,
this movie.
I could. All right, I'll bring
It's
up
a
one
good.
other one, and this is one that you'll won't.
Feel free to ask me a question.
I think
Rose, you get yourself a lady.
I think someone turned on my assistant. Oh, we have Jay popping in here too.
Hi.
Hello. I honestly, this is again outside of Santa Clauses because I think we kind of talked. There's not much great about the Santa Clauses. Is there potential? Yes. It all depends on how the ending goes. If things progress and it's not strictly in line with current standards and it's more of a melding, I think it could be a really great show at the end. But they have to get coherent.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that the second episode was a little, as far as pacing goes, and plotting out the plot, that it was better. Just because, again, the first episode, we are right out the gate with everybody and their mother's problems. Like, there's no lead up to anything. It is just bam, out the gate. Here we are in the North Pole. Here we are in like New York or wherever that guy lives. And we don't understand, like, why am I concerned about this guy who's opening a marketing thing, who's having his daughter, so the second one kind of slows down just a wee bit so that you can kind of try to follow things. But right now, and you said this is supposed to be, was it 6 episodes long? There's only 4 more episodes. I was really excited when I saw the trailer for this because I thought it was so cool and I liked the storyline. I did. I do. I like the idea of this storyline, but there's too much going on for me.
Yeah, I think it's also some rehashing.
Oh, well, there's always going to be a little bit of that.
I do think that I do want to say, I'm sorry, little Spidey, I don't think I'm as good as your dad is. Your dad is a great YouTuber.
Archie's all right.
And you're calling your own son a traitor.
Hey, so, R2 calls it like it is, man. You know, that's why little Spidey's such a great kid, because his dad no sugarcoating things.
I will say the other thing that's missing, and I think we kind of harped on this a lot. Their relationship was so well put as equals in the second movie. Like, she put her place as like, oh, I'm still teaching. Oh, I'm still doing this. I'm not like changing who I am. And then you're in this, and then this movie or the show, all of that is erased. And also it seems like, and again, you're like, she's being absent-minded of the kids a little bit because the kids are just in their own worlds, which is fine. They're teenagers. But I just
But
don't
see,
like.
but that's when kids need mom and dad the most, honestly, is when they're teenagers, because they're going through so much stuff and they're confused about things. Like that is when parents are really needed the most. And I don't want to be one of those people that sees all of current to society's problems in a film. This is very rare for me to see all these things in a show. A lot of times people are like, "Man, did you see this? That was totally taking a jab at the LGBTQ community. That was totally disrespecting conservatives. That was totally doing this to no." I'm normally not that person, but like you said with this lady, she's sitting there, and like I said, she's drinking that cider with that moment where she's drinking the cider with the elf and everything like that. It's like, again, she's having these what they're called nowadays, these wine moms, right? Like she is going through like midlife crisis or something like that, or her husband is absent, her children don't really live in this world, they're off in their own little mental whatever they're doing, and she's just there doing nothing, feeling put to the side, put her dreams aside, and she's sitting there. And I know that I'm going to assume the cider is non-alcoholic because it's the North Pole and the elves and whatever, but I'm just saying, like, I'm seeing too many, and personally, like I said, I don't really see these things very often, but for me, this show is having a hard time with identity of like, is this supposed to be about Happy Christmas? Is this supposed to be about finding Santa's replacement? Or is it the fact that Santa's family is falling apart?
And how can a person that works one night a year, have a family falling apart? That's the other thing.
Exactly.
Like, because again, they showed in the first movies, he was there on the spot whenever Charlie got in trouble. He was immediately there. Are you telling me he can't be the same way with his own kids? Like that doesn't make sense. Like he can't be that way when they're literally in his house. I just don't. It seems like whoever wrote this doesn't have a family. Whoever wrote this doesn't have kids.
Well, and also, another one of those woke moments, if you will, when they're going through the naughty list, the good and the naughty list, nobody's naughty anymore. She said they're misunderstood or whatever it was called.
that was the most cringe moment of the show, in my opinion.
And I couldn't believe that they took that seriously. I thought it was going to be a joke, and he was going to like he would have done in Home Improvement or Last Man Standing or any other film he's ever been in. I really expected Tim Allen to be just like, please, naughty. Instead, he bent and he's like, all right, nice. So all the kids were nice. Everybody gets presents. There's no more bad people in the world.
But like, you can tell though, at that point when she brought up the misunderstood list, he was done. He's like, I don't like doing this anymore. So it also shows that disconnect between the generations, because you're having the elves actually represent millennials in some way too, because the way they were acting,
even though they're older than time itself, apparently.
Yeah, I agree with this. Judge Reinhold would have fixed everything. That's the Neil from the first.
I names like the names for these things that are like I forget. I'm sorry.
That's the actor's name.
Now I have to go back and watch all the movies, start to finish. Come back on the show. I will do that for you, Rogue. Before we do our last one, I will.
Oh, that's a good thing for letting everyone know. We're doing the first two, and then we're just doing the whole show after the last episode on the 14th. Right. So there's no every episode. It's not that many episodes. We're going to treat it like sort of a part A, part B. Hopefully part B is either a little bit more uplifting, or we're just going to be really, really... Wait a minute, Jay, you've never seen the Santa Claus movies?
What?
Wait, really? You got to be joking, man.
You guys need to go hang out and watch watch these movies. Rogue, you can invite him over to meet your new lady friends.
That's my speaker.
Your Google assistant or whatever.
What are the festive spirit? Did I spell it wrong?
What is festive spirit? I think he's just being
he's
ornery.
being himself.
I think he's being ornery.
We did not get any soy milk in this one. I do not think there was a scene of any spitting up the soy. I think all the characters have soy in them now. I don't know. I mean, I think hopefully with Bernard coming back at some point in this, that sort of corrects it. Because whenever he shows up, in the movies, things get fixed.
Right. He's like,
And-
I can't believe this is happening. All right, here's what you do.
And I think that's going to be. He saw the first one. Okay.
Probably when it first came out.
In the theater. I think I was like, I think like maybe 10 around that. I mean, the first one came out in 94. No, I was not 10 yet.
I was not 10. I was definitely not 10.
I do remember seeing Tim Allen on Disney property though around that time. That was actually kind of cool. He was at Hollywood at MGM at the time.
I wasn't in the States at that time, so I had no clue.
The mysteries of the tree folk.
That's yeah.
You were 11 when it came out, R2? Oh, yeah, I forgot you haven't seen the movies in 28 years? All right. Well, so our general consensus is it's not the worst thing on Disney Plus, right? Do we think it's the worst thing on Disney Plus?
I think it's right up there with some of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm just confused by the plot. That's what I'm saying. It's really chaotic for me. I think the premise I like, but it seems to me like this show is not entirely certain what the premise is. If that makes sense.
R2 saying She-Hulk is worse.
Okay.
I think it depends. If this really messes up the notion of Christmas and Santa Claus at the end, I don't know how anything could be worse on Disney Plus then. Like if this is literally going to ruin that concept.
Yeah. The only part I remember is when he pushed Santa off of the roof and I couldn't stop laughing. Boys.
There are some good shows on Disney Plus. They're just not current shows. Like you have the X-Men animated series. You have a lot of vintage Disney stuff from the 90s. You know, Tailspin, Rescue Rangers, all that
Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck. Like, so I would say there are some stuff that you can't find on Disney Plus that's good. Just it's all from when we were kids.
Well, see, it's all about the wording, right? So Santa Claus or the Santa Clauses, She-Hulk, Andor, they are all Disney Plus shows. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers and Tailspin are on Disney Plus.
Yeah, they're like anything from the Eisner era, you're okay with. I think you can watch that. Like anything from before Iger, you're good. That's my opinion. Like Tom Staggs, yeah, that era is okay.
Given that I don't know who these people are, I have just agree with you.
Yes, 80s and 90s shows. Yeah, that's a good point. 80s and 90s shows are good.
Yeah.
So and I would say like even later before that, they have Davy Crockett on there from like the 50s.
Davy Crockett.
So like you can go in there, and if you have like a nostalgia run, you can definitely go back and watch some stuff on Disney Plus. Not saying you have to get it, but there is a treasure trove of nostalgia, which is what
Family
Disney
Robinson. Yeah. Except for Song of the South, you have to buy the bootleg version of that off of eBay if you want to own that treasure. So
no, I have the actual released VHS.
Ooh, nice.
That's vintage.
Such a good movie.
Oh, yes. Don't go watch it. It used to be on YouTube everywhere, like for a long time because they didn't care. But it's an Academy Award winning film. That
yeah.
And
but anyway, we're talking Santa Claus.
We got distracted by after any good things on Disney Plus. Yeah, the classics rock. We agree. And as for this show, we will watch. I'm basically going to wait and watch everything all at once, probably towards the end, because these episodes are monotonous for a little bit. Hopefully, they get better, and this is probably a one season thing.
Yeah.
There's not going to be another one of this. If there is, it ain't going to have Tim Allen in it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which is the whole point of the show. I mean,
Yeah.
I do want to see what happens between him and Carol, but
Yes.
so I am curious to know what happens. I just, I feel like I need to take a Dramamine before I watch each episode.
I think I'm just gonna have some gin and watch them. That'll probably be a
You
better
do
idea.
drugs, or I'll do the drugs. You do the.
I do have a safe that has a lot of. Wait, what? Pointy hood mask? No, R2. No. First of all, I was a northerner for the most of my life, so no. No pointy hoods here. But you might ask Brian about that. I'm just.
Shots fired.
Queen Latifah. I don't think she's in the show. If she's in the cast list, I'm gonna have to check that out. I don't think she's in the show. But we're about an hour. There's not much more to talk about this. Tabitha, do you have anything awesome coming up for yourself?
For myself, yeah, I've got another traveling art video coming out on my channel hopefully this week. I went to the Renaissance Fair and decided to sit in the middle of the court and just draw some stuff. And so that will be coming up. You can see my costumes and got some live streams coming up. I'm going to try to finish some sketching. I did a couple of chibi drawings, and so I'm trying to color them in. And and working on my secret gingerbread project this year. This is the creation. Last year I did a Stargate complete with an event horizon, 100% edible Stargate with a lit up event horizon. I really miss that. I wish I would have shellacked it before it fell over and crumbled, but it lasted for 5 months, so that's okay. So next I'm doing another franchise piece, and I'm leaving it a mystery. It's bigger than the Stargate. I've bitten off, no pun intended, more than I can chew. But it's coming. It's coming soon. So follow me over on my channel, and you'll be able to see.
May I make a suggestion for whatever? If it's as awesome as the Stargate is as last time, what I would say is maybe make a resin, and you can submerge it in the resin, like pour it in and just do clear resin inside of like.
Yeah.
Think we could come a coffee table.
Yeah, there's that. That would be heavy. I've done resin work before too. I think with as big as this piece is gonna be, that's gonna be too heavy.
Well, I want to thank you again for agreeing, and I'm sorry I had to have you watch this. I apologize for
no, I was looking forward to it. I was going to watch it whether you asked me to or not.
He was just.
I was just typing out the Ryan Keenel kind.
I don't think we ever got to say this right. I never say his name right. I'm sorry, Ryan. That's why I don't say your last name anymore.
Kennel.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for stopping by. This was fun. I do like talking entertainment every once in a while, and I know this isn't really parks, but they've seen it in the parks right now, so I think it works.
It's Disney. Disney has a park.
Yeah,
it works.
It works. So, as always, don't be afraid to be the fool. Please go and watch Tabitha draw. It's amazing. It's very relaxing. Like, she has some nice music on. It's like art meets ASMR. Just leave it on if you happen to fall asleep. I've fallen asleep sometimes. Oh, wow. I have a lurker in here. This is first. Thank you.
Lurker.
Hello. I didn't know I had lurkers, but I guess that makes sense. Thank you for watching. Comment below.
We're sketching. We're sketching Sith and Jedi right now, so come on over.
So, she's in my featured channel list, as well as some other awesome channels. Please check it out. I put a lot of people that I'm friends with that make great content that deserve your eyes, hopefully. I'm not going to 100% guarantee that because everyone's subjective, but give them a shot, please.
That's right.
Especially
everybody.
Especially R2 after the weekend. Like, they do great reviews Monday, 8 o'clock. So give him a shout out.
It's got a great smile.
He needs to get the facial hair back. He still looks like a little bit baby face. But we're going to say goodnight. It's about 10:12 over here on the East Coast. So good night. Don't be afraid to be the fool. And I'll see you in the parks. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to be at Hollywood Studios for Life Day, which is I have my Life Day orb somewhere, but there's going to be a lightsaber meetup. I'll be doing live stream probably starting around 6. The meetup's at 8:45, so do a little Hollywood Studios streaming on the evening. So please check that out tomorrow. And besides that, it's time to there we go. Let's end this. I don't have a good outro, so it's just my intro without the timer. I'm sorry. I'll work on it. Bye.